And now as the campus reacts, we have the current university president, Dr. Lambert, live in the studio to talk to us about Danieley's legacy. Thanks for being here, President Lambert.
My great pleasure. Thank you.
So, can you just explain what made Dr. Danieley so special to everyone on campus?
Well, I think the longevity of his relationship with the university is remarkable. And he came here as a student. He graduated from a tiny little college, but began a relationship beyond his student years as a professor, and then a dean, and then served during a pivotal time at the for the institution as its 6th president. And he played a hugely important role in establishing the modern ELN. When he took over as president in 1956, ELN was held together by prayers and Scotch tape. It had been a struggling institution, and it had come through the Depression and World War II, but just barely. And he started to put the building blocks of the modern university in place. I mean, the faculty didn't have a retirement system, if you can imagine that, and we didn't really have a real college library. He built McEwen.
Right.
This building that we're in right now was our former library. So he began to put the building blocks of the modern ELN into place. And then after serving for a long time as president, 16 years, and to put that in context, today a typical university college president stays in office for less than 5 years. So 16 years is a long legacy. He remained connected with the institution and really got back to his first love, which was teaching chemistry, and maintained long relationships with alumni. So it's been a multifaceted career of president and dean and faculty member and fundraiser and most of all, I think, just grandfather to so many students on this campus. And he did it for 70 years, and that it's truly a remarkable thing. I don't think you can find such a record of service by any person on very many other college campuses.
Yeah, I agree.
You go. Take it away.
I'm just curious. A lot of the basketball team, a lot of different Phoenix fans experienced the touch that Dr. Danieley shared with people, whether that was giving kisses on the top of someone's head or shaking their hand really hard. Did you experience that, and maybe what was your personal relationship with Dr. Danieley?
Well, he is my very close friend, and we shared a special bond because there aren't very many people around that know what it's like to sit in the chair that I sit in every day and to experience the challenges and the joys and the stresses of being the president of ELN, and he well understood that and was just a great supporter. Nothing but support and encouragement and telling you you're doing a good job, and it meant so much coming from him.
What a special man. Is there a special moment that you recall that has touched you that I guess you will never forget?
Well, there are so many. I mean, I could sit here all morning and tell you Earl Danieley stories, and we don't have time for that. I can tell you a couple. I've told others publicly this story before about very early in my presidency, about 6 months in, we decided that we were going to change our mascot, which is not an uncontroversial thing to do on a college campus. And we had a nice launch of our new mascot, the Phoenix. And I know for a fact Earl got some phone calls from some alums who said, "Earl, you've got to stop this new president from doing this." And so what does he do? But a couple of days after the launch of the new mascot, we had a faculty staff golf tournament, which we traditionally have annually, a couple of days before commencement. And Earl shows up in a Phoenix t-shirt. And it was end of story, you know,
Right.
like I'm on board.
Right.
Right.
This is where we're going.
It was him letting everybody else know that.
And he didn't say a word,
That's all you needed.
you know, but it was just a very loud but subtle sign of support, and we're moving on as a college community. We're moving on in this direction.
Yeah.
But you know, he was also just a close personal friend, the kind of person that you could talk to about things that you really had concerns about, or that were really bothering you. And I loved him very much. I mean, I genuinely loved him. I kissed him goodbye on Saturday night, and he was struggling on Saturday night. And I came home and I said to my wife, Lori, I think I just said goodbye to Earl. And it was very distressful to see him struggling. But then Lori and I went back on Sunday night to see him, and his daughter Jane woke him up when we got there. It was much calmer, and we had Sunday evening about 7:30, just a delightful 15-minute conversation, and that was a precious gift. And we, you know, he told us a funny story about his daughter Jane's wedding reception, which was held in McEwen Dining Hall next door.
Wow.
And if you can ever imagine, that was at its time the great hall of ELN College, the place to have a grand event.
Yeah.
And so he told us a funny story about that wedding reception, and couldn't stop talking about the men's and women's basketball programs. And he was certain he was going to get back for another game. And I thought he might.
I think he just had a very powerful impact on campus.
It's amazing.
For the future students who aren't here yet and maybe won't know Dr. Danieley and the impact he had, what do you think the university will do to preserve his legacy?
That's a great question, and people have been making all kinds of wonderful suggestions. You know, we should plant a rose garden, or because he loved roses, or you know, lots of other good ideas. But I guess I'm concerned that, you know, I don't want Earl Danieley's legacy to be stories, you know, just stories. There are so many great Earl Danieley stories. To me, I think we need to find a way. When I think about Earl Danieley's life, he lived out ELN's honor code: honesty, integrity, responsibility, respect. I mean, his whole life was dedicated to those four values. And when I talk about him tomorrow, that's what I want to talk about. And I don't want the substance of his life to be reduced to some anecdotes. It's much more meaningful than that. It's much more powerful than that. It's about living a life of integrity. It's about showing love to other people, and that, I think that's what we need to find a way to do, is to encourage people to use the example of his life as a way to live our own lives in different ways, of course, but to carry those values forward. That's what it means to be a person affiliated with ELN University, to be a part of this community, is that we all subscribe to a shared set of values about what it means to be a good human being and to make a contribution in the world and to care for one another.